Okay, welcome to our webinar of the Catholic Academy of Communications Professionals. My name is Brian Finnerty, U.S. Communications Director for Opus Dei and Vice President of Catholic Academy. We're here today to talk about social media on a budget. We're with Cynthia Bates, who is the new media specialist for the Diocese of Dallas. She works on the website and social media for the diocese. She's also had the privilege of teaching 3 bishops how to tweet. So Cynthia, thanks so much for being with us. And Cynthia will talk for a while. And then if you want to submit questions as she's speaking, on your screens, there should be a chat. You should see there's a little chat button at the bottom. Submit a text with the question. That way, as she's talking, at the end of her presentation as well, we're going to go at the time, especially for questions. So, Cynthia, thank you so much for being with us.
Okay, thank you. Hi, I'm Cynthia Bates. I'm the new media specialist for the Diocese of Dallas. I've been with the diocese for about 4 years now, and before I worked here, I had a personal site that was an entertainment fan site. And so during my entire career of working online, I've never really had a big budget creating social media graphics. And the only Photoshop experience I ever had before I worked here was a really old version of Photoshop that my husband had from his old job. So I've had to figure out ways to create and curate social media content that was free and that wouldn't get me sued by Getty or AP because I used a picture without permission. I was talking with somebody recently about one of the problems we have as communications professionals. You know, we work with people who are in ministry, and people who are in ministry go to these for ministry, and they have all these great things about teaching and Christ and Bible studies, and they don't have anything about technology. So we're having Dallas Ministry Conference in a couple of weeks, and I was thinking, what can I bring to the table that would help these people in my diocese learn ways to do social media? And I thought, well, first thing we could do is do some stuff that's free. And so hopefully this is something that all of you can use and that you can take out to your parishes as well. Let me go ahead or to your organizations, the people that are there. I'm going to go ahead and change this to my share screen. And we tested this recently, and it mostly worked. So hopefully it'll do what it's supposed to do. We'll go ahead and start. This was originally supposed to be a full screen, but it's not playing nice. So we're just going to have it kind of small. First of all, let's talk a little bit about why should you take the time to create beautiful social media graphics. A lot of people are like, I just don't have the time to do this. I'll just slap something up, or I'm not going to worry about it. I'll just put the text up. It's not that big of a deal. Well, first of all, researchers have found that colored visuals increase people's willingness to read a piece of content by 80%. Content with relevant images gets 94% more views than content without relevant images. Visual content is more than 40 times more likely to get shared on social media than other types of content. And Facebook posts with images see 2.3 times more engagement than those without images. To give you an example of how this works, I'm sure that you guys recently have had to deal with the 20-city ad campaign from Catholics for Choice. Well, our bishop put something online, or put something in the Dallas Morning News. He had it in the editorial section, and we posted it on our website, and we posted a picture of it on social media. And they both went up within about 10 to 15 minutes of each other, both on Facebook and on Twitter. And let's go ahead and look at the difference between the engagement and the views on both of those platforms. So this is our link to that article on Dallas, or on cathdal.org. And I'm so glad I did the Zoom. 13,000 people were reached. And again, this is a link. 13,000 people were reached, about 521 likes, and we had about 146 shares. Now, when we shared the image, and that was the content, and we actually put the link to Dallas Morning News at the bottom of our text here, but it's basically, this is a picture content. We had 120,000 views, with 5,000 likes, 4,300 which were on shares, and 1,290 shares. So the difference in engagement was just unreal, comparing just a link to posting a visual image. Now, Tweets with images receive 150% more retweets than tweets without images. Again, same content, but on Twitter. And here's the link that we posted. And we had five retweets and 3 likes. In that same time period, I did the exact same thing with the picture, and we had 56 retweets and 63 likes, which is a huge difference. So now that we've decided that it's something that we need to do, let's go ahead and talk about 5 steps of mastering social media, and then I'll bring you tools that are free, or most of them. There's a couple that are almost free that will help you accomplish each of these steps. Step 1 is to learn the basics of graphic design. Step 2 is to find high-quality images. Step 3 is to find graphic elements for your images, such as symbols or icons or something like that. Step 4 is to create and edit your graphic, adding text, symbols, things like that. And step 5 is to publish and manage your social media content. Whenever I attend webinars or conferences, I try to take at least one thing away from each class. But the rest of this class is pretty much the good stuff, the stuff that you take away. This is stuff that I use every day. I mean, I could title the seminar, My Bookmarks. Let me show you them. These are tools that I use on a regular basis, and some even on a daily basis. So hopefully you'll find 1 or 2 resources that are good to you. And also at the end of this, if we've got time, I really want to hear from all of you of the tools that you use on a regular basis and your go-to resources, so that we can share those with everybody that's joined us here on this webinar, and we can all learn from each other. And go ahead and leave those comments, and we'll discuss them at the end. And also, I've compiled a list of all these resources on a web page, and I'll go ahead and tell you that URL now in case something catches your fancy and you'd like to go visit it. And that URL is www.cathdal.org/design. Okay, so step 1, learn the basics of graphic design. I highly recommend that you subscribe to a couple or follow them on your social media or something where people are talking about graphic design, so that you can see their articles and keep up with design trends and social media platforms. I subscribe to a couple of graphic design blogs and a few photography blogs, and actually a nonprofit blog as well. And I don't necessarily read every article, but I find a lot of inspiration from them, and I can learn about new trends and social media content from looking at what's happening on these blogs. So, and I've had to learn the basics of graphic design on my own, but I found when I've taken that time that it's actually been worth my time and effort. So the first resource that I found for you is from the Canva blog. We're going to talk about Canva a little bit later, and in theory this should come up. And since that's step 1, I apologize. I had every single one of these open, and they just weren't doing what they were supposed to do. So now we're just going to open them individually. But the first one is design elements and principles, and it talks about all these different design elements. But if 20 is too much, we have other resources as well. And that link actually works. There's 11 simple design tips to enhance, and it talks about balance and color and lines and contrast and typography and things. It's good to keep in mind when you're trying to design your own graphics. And if 11 is too many, we also have 8 basic design principles. And this is actually from the Adobe Creative Cloud blog. And again, it kind of talks about, it has examples, it has contrast and other things of design concepts. And in addition, one other thing I'd like to recommend, and I know that this isn't we're trying to have Photoshop alternatives so that we're saving money and not having to pay for Photoshop. But if you want to learn some basics on photo editing, I highly recommend PhotoshopEssentials.com. I have learned so many tweaks on how to make pictures better. I tell people all the time, I'm not a good photographer, but I'm really good in Photoshop. And a lot of that has to do with what I've learned on this website. So I highly recommend that. All right, so step 2, find high quality images. First, before we get started, I don't know about you guys, but I can't tell you how often that one of the ministry staff or parish staff at my parish come up to me and they send me a picture and say, hey, can you put this up on the website? No, not without making sure that it's in the public domain. So it's very important that you go to really as many links as you can to make sure that you're using images that are Creative Commons, or that you know that you have permission to use them. So before we get to some sources for Creative Commons images, I wanted to show you a site that I use all the time. Tineye.com. Tineye.com can help you find the original source of an image. For example, I have, again, we're going to get to my bookmarks here. I have a picture of my Advent candles. And I thought, oh, these are nice, pretty Advent candles. I'd like to see if I can find the source for them. So I go to 10i.com. Oops. And I put my fingers on the right place. You take the URL, you place it here, and it's going to tell you different places where you can find this exact image or something fairly close to it online. And I'm looking at it, and most of these look like blogs. There's a wallpaper page, and most of wallpaper pages are going to use Creative Commons pictures. I'm going through it, again, blogs and blogs, and I actually found a version here that's 1024 by 768, and that's a pretty big picture, so I can actually probably use that. And if I don't see that it's owned by anybody else, and it looks like this is mostly used by church websites, and I don't see that it's owned by, or that there's a copy on Getty or AP or Shutterstock or anything like that. So I would feel pretty confident using this in, say, a header for Facebook or something. Now, let's go and look at another picture. And this happens again all the time. Somebody says, hey, I found this great picture of stained glass, but can I use this on our webpage? And I'll say, well, I don't know. Let's see. So you go to 10i.com. And the first thing you see is Shutterstock, 123RF. And then in those two things right away, it's going to be something that we're going to have to purchase if we want to use it on anything. Because Alamy is also a website where you can buy pictures. So I would immediately say, no, we can't use that picture unless you buy the license. And that's what I use 10i for all the time. Now, it also comes in handy if you find a picture that you like, and you know that it's a very common picture, like say of a saint, and you need to find a bigger resolution of it. For example, this picture, St. Teresa Benedicta of the Cross. This is one of the only pictures of Teresa Benedicta, and I know for a fact that there are bigger versions.
Yeah,
so
I don't even know how I got this email, but Catholic Academy now has a webinar right now, free on social media.
Oh, you watched it?
I got an email from
somebody needs to mute themselves. Hi, whoever's talking about the webinar, could you mute your phone or your computer real quick? That would be helpful. All right. Okay, so back to 10i. So I want to find a bigger version of this picture. And there's 133 results. And here's a version of that picture that's 1581 by 1797. And that's a much larger version. And when there's pictures like this, and Teresa Lisieux, I'm of Teresa of the Andes, yeah, I'm a Carmelite spirituality. And those you can feel pretty confident in using in social media because they're extremely common images. And if you need to find a bigger version, that's another good use for 10i. Okay, so how are we doing on time? We're doing okay. As far as some of the places that I go for images, the first place I go most of the time is Flickr.com. And I'm sure you guys are all familiar with Flickr.com, but if you want to find something specific, like say you want to look for a rosary, it's a good place to start to find some basic images. So we start, but what you need to do, and this is the really, really big key one, you need to change it from any license to modifications allowed. And what this is a Creative Commons, these are the pictures that are posted on Flickr.com with a Creative Commons license that says where you can make modifications to it, i.e. you can crop it, change the coloring, add text and things like that. So you can sort by there, and now any of these pictures we can use for rosaries. Now, if you'll notice, this is a gorgeous photo, and I highly recommend that you follow, and I have a couple of go-to photographers that I use all the time. And Father Lawrence Liu is one of those photographers. He is a Dominican who is actually from England, but he's also got these great pictures of churches, of statues, of pretty much anything you're going to want as far as religion. Like, let me give you an example. Today is Our Lady of Sorrows, I believe. When you do a search on Flickr, you're always immediately going to have the top. It's going to say from people you follow. Well, I follow Father Lawrence Liu, and if you notice, all four of these pictures are from Father Lawrence Liu, and everything that he has is 100% Creative Commons. So whenever you need a saint picture, something like this, I highly recommend you start with Father Lawrence Liu, any kind of religious image. Another person that I follow is a gentleman by the name of Steve Day. I don't know if I have any pictures of his. I don't see any off the top of my head, so I'm going to go back to. Okay. And what Steve Day has is tons and tons of extremely beautiful, extremely high resolution pictures of stained glass. So if you want, like, this picture is gorgeous, and you could use that as a social media. You could crop that and use that as a social media image. Excuse me. So another place that you can get really great religious images is Wikimedia Commons. And Wikimedia Commons is, I don't know if you guys are familiar with it or not, but they're basically Creative Commons images that go with Wikipedia, or that are, I believe it's the same network as Wikipedia. However, there's a couple of pages. The trick is finding the information that has the collection that works for you, because you can look up Mary, Mother of God, or other things, and they're really hard to find a collection of pictures. So I put 3 of my favorite collections of pictures on Wikimedia Commons. The first one is the Virgin Mary, and you can go to Virgin Mary in Art, or Life of Mary, Virgin Mary by title, and Mary and Cross. There's tons of different options, and once you get in there, you can say, well, Life of Mary, if I want to look at paintings of the life of Virgin Mary, and I go, okay, well, I want to look at pictures of the Annunciation. And then all of a sudden you've got all the different pictures of the Annunciation that are there.
Cynthia, let me just jump in. Someone posted a question. Can you clarify, can we use Father Lou's and Steve Day's images royalty-free? You know, they're posting questions, you know, at the chat thing that you see at the bottom. So can we use them royalty-free?
Yes, they're royalty-free. They're 100% Creative Commons. As long as you don't, you know, and I've actually spoken with Father Lawrence. I emailed him once and said, I use your pictures all the time. And he's like, as long as it's glorifying God, he's happy. So he's very open to anybody using his stuff for church stuff in any way that they feel the need. And I always try to credit him, because I like to do that. But he said he doesn't even care about that. I've never actually spoken with Steve Day, but all of his stuff is 100% Creative Commons as well. Also, let me go back to Father Lawrence Lou. Let me show you how you can tell if a picture is Creative Commons. And let's click on this. This is something he posted today for Our Lady of Sorrows. And see how it says some rights reserved? So you can tell you can't make money off of it, but you can do anything else you want to do with it. And you can click on some rights reserved, and this is going to tell you specifically, you need to give credit. You can't use it for commercials. And he says no derivatives, but I've spoken to him and he doesn't mind if you crop it or use it like that. As long as you're using it for something for church, he doesn't have a problem with it. And he's, like I said, I've spoken with him, so you should be very safe to use his stuff. And everything that's on, everything that is on Wikimedia Commons is always 100% Creative Commons. So I've got 3 collections. If the page comes back up, it's thinking about it. Come on. There it goes. I've got a collection of Virgin Mary. I've got a collection of Life of Christ. And I've also got a collection of Caravaggio pictures. Caravaggio pictures are fantastic because they've got a very dark background. And they look, and because of the very dark background, they make really, really pretty social media. You can put the text up here and you can make social media graphics out of them. Now, one of the trickiest things I have found is finding pictures of Pope Francis that are Creative Commons, because these are, you know, I don't know about you, I don't ever go to Rome and take pictures of Pope Francis. And most of the people that are taking pictures of Pope Francis on a regular basis are professional photographers, AP, Getty, and things like that. But there's 2 locations that I've found with pictures that, not a lot, but enough that if you need a picture of Pope Francis for your website or a social media graphic, you're probably going to find something that will work. The first one is, again, Wikimedia Commons, and this one's tricky because he's listed under Franciscus and not Francis, but you can find pictures by 2014, 15, and 16. So say I wanted to find, and you just kind of have to go through and pick through, but like there's this one, and that's not a bad picture. You could crop stuff out, or you could fade the top, and you could do a social media graphic with that. And there's a few like that. You just kind of have to dig through that. The second one that I use, I don't know how to pronounce this website, alicia.org. They put all of their pictures that they took for the U.S. papal visit on Flickr. And there's quite a few that you can use that I've used personally. I've used this one multiple times as Pope Francis celebrates the concluding Mass. And this one, I've used this one on multiple pages as well. So there are a lot of really high quality pictures. And again, when you click onto them, you'll see that they are Creative Commons. So you're good to go. Now, if you want some general stock photos, here's some sites that I recommend. Unsplash is a really great site for just general background pictures. You know, you just put an inspirational quote or whatever. You can also do searches, but most of the time I use either, like, you know, you may want to say something about writing or whatever here. But you can search by topic, but most of those I'll use for quote backgrounds because they're beautiful quality pictures. Another one, now this one I kind of like because it's got some weird stuff on it. Excuse me, Gratisography. And the pictures are, like I said, they've got a interesting collection of things. So if you need a really weird picture for whatever reason, you need a cat in a tie, this is the place to go. And I found some kind of, you know, there was something where I wanted to, I think it was like put your right foot forward or something, and I was able to find a weird shoe on the right foot on that page. Snap.io is another stock site, but this one is, it's starting to borderline on having too many ads and having to click through too many times to get to the pages, but they do have some nice stock photography as well, and they source from a lot of different places. Everything that Unsplash, need to Unsplash. And if you can't find what you need in these three as far as stock photos, I've also got a couple of links, 53 plus free image sources for your blog and social media posts, and 16 places to find the best free stock photos. So there are multiple sites on those particular pages. Now, you'll say a lot of sites are either covered in ads, or it requires registration to be able to log into the site. And if you ever need to this is a freebie. If you ever go to one of these sites and they say you need to register or you can't get the content and you really don't want to register because you don't want to get spam for the rest of your life, you 10-minute mail.com. Oops, I need to put it in there. 10minutemail.com, and you give them this email, and you basically got a mailbox for 10 minutes, and that way you won't get spam if you feel that that's ethical, because technically the reason they're giving you the free stuff is to get your email, but that's between you and your confessor. So the next step 3, find graphic elements for your image. So flat icon, like for example, you wanted to put a picture of a church on a social media icon. And you can go here, and you've got, here's a picture of church, and here's a picture of a church, and you can, when you click on this little eyeball, you can say, I would like the picture in PNG form. Oops, I just closed the thing I didn't mean to close. Or EPS or PSD. If you want it PNG, you can say, well, what color do you want? What size do you want? And it'll give you the picture with the background clear. And they also have social media icons as well. So say if you wanted twitter.com, they've got the little bird that you can use if you need to use that for a graphic. Like if you want to say tweet this, you have to look picture the bird. This is a really good place to go. Ooh, that's really nice. I've never seen that one before. This one right here, I keep looking over with the flat design. Okay, so, and another site that I use all the time, obviously, because when I hit flat, it's the first one that comes up, flatuicolors.com. If you need a color palette, this is a fantastic flat color palette. All of the colors go together. No matter what you do with these colors, they're gonna go together. I use these colors all the time. I've used them on bishopkevinfarrell.org. I've used them on my parish site, which should come up any second. Obviously, I really, really like the wet asphalt and the sunflower because I use that yellow and that blue on a lot of different things. But let's just say, for example, you need the specific shade of red in your coat of arms, and you want to have a color palette around that specific shade of red. So I know for a fact that this particular shade of red is D2232A because I took a note when I was preparing this presentation. You can go to a site, actually, let me go back to Peloton.com, and you can build a color palette around any color that you want. You just click on your base, and like I said, I know what this one is. D2232A. And here's a monotone color palette. Here's adjacent colors, triad, tetrad. If you want to see what a color palette would look on your website, they've got options for, you can look at them, things like that. And, examples, that's what I was looking for. And so if you wanted to see it, well, if you're doing your website, this is what those colors are going to look like on your website. And I have found this very handy when I want to find, like I have a blue that I have to use for a picture and I want to find a complementary color. This is where I go to find the color for that particular item in my graphic. And another thing that I found actually while I gotta leave that slide up. Another page that I found when I was actually doing this presentation, and I thought this was really great, is a site called Brand Colors. So let's just say you want to do something, but you love the shade of like Starbucks green. So you can put Starbucks, and there's your shade of Starbucks green, 00704A. Or if you're doing a Twitter or Facebook graphic, you can find Twitter blue. And so I thought that was a really nifty page. Okay, so now we're on to step 4, create and edit your graphic. So far, let's recap. You got your background image, you got your colors that you want to use for your graphic, and now you need to put it all together into a graphic. So if you want to have the flexibility of Photoshop, but you don't want to pay the licensing fees to have Photoshop CC, I highly recommend Pixlr Editor. This is a free software that is online. So I will say, hey, I want to, because it's I want to create a new image, or I can open the image from my computer, and I'm just going to grab something off my desktop, and this is just a picture of me, but let's just pretend that it's a picture of something else, and you can go in here and you can crop it. You can change the colors, you can add text, and I don't like that size, so I can make it bigger. I don't like that color, so I can make it white, and so forth and so on. So if you're familiar with Photoshop, but you don't feel like paying for Photoshop, this is an excellent alternative to be able to slap a picture up, edit it, and make a real quick social media graphic exactly like you like it. Now,
Cynthia, let me jump in. For your information, there's another question at some point to make sure you answer about how often we should be posting to Instagram or Facebook and Twitter, especially for people who don't have a big staff.
That's a very good question, and I actually have an entire talk about that particular topic, but I'll try to give the 30-second thing in a nutshell. On Twitter, you can probably post 5 or 6 times in a day easily. On Facebook, you don't want to post more than maybe 5 or 6 total a day. I usually post somewhere between 2 and 5. Most of those are automated, meaning if Bishop Farrell posts, or like he puts on his blog, or if we put something on cathedral.org, that automatically posts. So and it just posts the link, so I'm not having to create content. Instagram, I don't use it personally a lot. I use it for the diocese. I'm going to show you something neat that you can do with Instagram here in just a minute or two. But with Instagram, I'm not familiar enough with the content to be able to give you any real numbers, but I can guarantee you if you do a Google search, how often to post to Facebook, how often to post to Twitter, you're going to run into these blogs like I was showing you earlier, that like the Buffer blog, the Canva blog, and they're going to talk about the best rates to do that, the kind of content that works, and things like that. And actually, Buffer today, I think it was at 10 o'clock today, they were offering a bunch of free webinars, and one of them was how to get your content shown on Facebook. Because as I'm sure you guys know, the Facebook algorithm changes about every 3 months, and every time it changes, that means less and less people are seeing your content for some reason, unless you pay them. And I don't particularly want to pay Facebook. I've never paid Facebook for an ad. So you have to find ways to have your content go higher in the list. And this webinar talks about it. I can put a link to it on this other page and the handout that we'll have on the Catholic Academy site as well. But that will probably give you more of an idea. Does that answer your question? Yes, no, maybe we're just going to say yes because I can't see the notes right now. All right, moving on. Let's see. Okay, we're not gonna do that. Now, if you're not a real creative person, and I'm not a real creative person, and even when I'm in the creative mood, I just normally don't have the time to really think about it, you can use canva.com. Now, I don't know how many of you have used Canva yet, but they have a free account, and that's okay. But you can get a free nonprofit, a work nonprofit account. If you go to this page, again, it's linked on cath.org/design, and you can apply and you get a free account that gives you access to a whole lot more information. It allows you to build a team. Let me show you. If you go to canva.com, this is what mine looks like. And you can put in a color scheme. You can add graphics. You can say, I like these fonts. You can put pictures of your logo, and I have a couple of pictures of my logo. And you can share with your teammates, and you can give people roles that they can share with their teammates as well. And you can share these templates. And I don't have any real templates yet, but you can do that for all the people in your diocese. I have 10 licenses, free of the Canva work licenses for the Diocese of Dallas, and I requested 10. You can probably get more, but I didn't want to push my luck, so I thought, okay, 10, I can do that. All right, so let me give you a real quick example of how to use Canva. I'm gonna go back to here. I don't want the brand. Come on. All right, now when you get in here, I'm just gonna go ahead and show you this. You can pick whatever size, if you want to do social media, you want to do a letter, and they have all these different sizes of templates that you can do. And once you get into there, so if you wanted to do a Twitter post, a Pinterest graphic, you can click all of those. Well, I went to basic social media and found this little template because I thought, well, this is pretty, and I can do a little quote, and I can find a black and white picture, which I know we already have. Now, if you look at the pictures here, some of them say free and some of them don't, and the ones that don't have this they're basically watermarked. And if you want to use them, I think they're $1 a piece, but I'm cheap and don't want to use the free pictures. So I'm gonna go in here, and I've actually already uploaded this picture that we've been using this whole presentation of Teresa Benedict of the Cross. So I can go in here, and there's my picture. Now I also happen to have oh wait, no, that's my picture. I have a quote from Edith Stein, but let's just pretend like this is a quote from Edith Stein, and I can put here, St. Edith Stein, or St. Teresa Benedicta, and then all you have to do is click download, or if you want to email it to yourself, you just hit share, and you can email it to yourself. And that's it. I mean, it really only takes a couple of minutes, although I tend to get really, really lost in looking at all the templates because they're really, really cool. Okay, so back to here. There's a really neat program called Adobe Spark. This is something that's relatively new, I think. And you can do 3 things with it. It's like Canva, and you can do pictures. It also allows you to do these nifty little videos. And let me show you my nifty little video. And I did this video in about 30 minutes, getting ready for this presentation. And that's a little video. And I actually made all the graphics in this with Adobe Spark as well. So if you can't find anything that you want with Canva, or you just want something a little different, or you can make these nifty little videos, which I think are very cool, and you can post them on your social media as well. And so, let's go back to our list. So I thought Adobe Spark was kind of nifty. Now, I don't know how many of you have used PicMonkey, but I do believe that they have an app as well. And PicMonkey is just another thing that you can use to edit stuff. But they've got a couple of extra nifty features that I think are kind of fun. Normally there's not too many ads. Okay, so they have the basics where you can crop them, and I can crop it. And another nice thing about this one is I want a square crop, so I can use a square crop and hit apply. You can rotate, you can change the exposure. They also have cosmetic kind of changes that you can make. Now, anything that has one of these little crowns is going to cost you money, but if you wanted to, say, add some blush, saying I'm very pale, I want to use some blush, and that's the wrong shade, and I can do that, and I got blush on, and I can hit apply. So you can do some cosmetic changes as well. They also have a few fun themes, like if I wanted to turn my picture into a zombie, I could use this and highlight myself, and now I kind of look like a zombie, and they have blood drops and all other kinds of fun things. But they have a few themes, and those are kind of fun to manipulate pictures as well if you want to look like a zombie. And I don't want to save that. And if you want to do quotes and you don't feel like looking up the fonts, and if you want to do them really quick and dirty, you can go to quotes cover, and it's a really simple thing. You just go in and you say, okay, I want to put a quote. Let's just use this Harry Potter quote, just so we don't have to find a quote. And then you say, what do I want it to look like? And then you say, okay. And then you figure out, I want this to be a Facebook cover, for example. And then it was like, okay, well, there's a theme, and go through, and you have a few different options to, now obviously that one's not going to work because you can't read it, but they also have theme options, font combinations, color combinations, and you just kind of go through and say, I like that, I don't like that, and whatnot, until you find something that you think is pretty. This one's not too bad. And then you just hit, you just go down and you hit save as JPEG or save as PNG, and you're good to go. So that one, if you want to do a quote, is a real quick and fast way to do a quote graphic. Now, if one of these doesn't work, I've also added a link, Canva, Adobe Spark, and 29 other apps that let you design stunning social graphics, and these are things online that will allow you to do the same kind of things that we've just done. Now, there's another place that you can get some nifty graphic design elements, and but you have to sign up for their email, and I actually get both of these emails. And the first one is Market, the page or that link with all the different options of graphic editors, that's actually from the blog from Creative Market. And these are free goods of the week. So this week they have a waterfall font, they've got some graphics, they've got a picture if you really need that picture for something, I don't know, youth conference or something. Then they have some basic stock pictures, and I have downloaded the thin line icons because I always like good icon sets. So, and they'll send you an email once a week, and you say, I want that, you download it, and you're good to go. And they make you sign up for it, but they're not real spammy. They send, I think, 2 emails a week, one of which says all the free stuff. Another thing that you can use, or another thing that you can sign up for, is Death to the Stock Photo. And this is going to send you they bundle 10 pictures with a theme every month. So the theme might be like, this is body truth. So this is like stock photos of people. Lexi's Photoshop actions. This is stock photos of just some pictures. And they have different options. So once a month, they'll send you a link and you can download the pictures if you'd like. Or you can just download them and just stash them somewhere, which is what I do. Now, we've also got a few apps if you want to deal with apps. The first one is Bubbling. And this is a really nifty one. It allows you to take a 360-degree picture of wherever you are. This is fun if you're in church because you can stand right in front of the altar, or like maybe in holy doors or something, and you get it on there and you just kind of wipe the picture like you're just, and it'll slowly capture it. It walks you right through it. It's super easy. And again, it's free. Prisma is one of my new very favorite apps. If you guys haven't used Prisma, you really, really need to download Prisma. This is so much fun. it takes your images and it turns them into pictures. So like art. Let me show you an example. Remember that picture we've been showing of Saint Teresa Benedicta? This is that same picture with the dream filter on it. And this is one of running in the storm. And electric. And you get the general idea. And you could take this picture and you could use it on a Facebook header, or you could use it as a graphic or something. It's taking and these are just black and white pictures. When you have color pictures of actual people or actual stuff, it looks amazing. And it's the best app you'll have on your phone. It's so much fun. I use it all the time. And the final one I'd like to recommend is a new photo taking app. And there's 1,000 of these things out there, and I have most of them on my phone. But the one I found myself going back to over and over is Microsoft Pics. What it does is it takes this barrage of pictures and then it'll give you the best 3 and adjust them before you even see them. So you're getting the best picture of everything that you've taken. And just download it and give it a try. I really enjoyed it. And I'm getting low on time, so I'm going to go really, really fast now. I'm going to go ahead and open that. And finally, publishing and managing your social media content. Most of you should be familiar with Hootsuite, which is the basic social media manager that virtually everybody has. They do have a free version that allows you 2 RSS feeds and 3 social media platforms. So, for example, you could get the RSS feed for your diocese blog and your bishop's blog, and you could post to Twitter, Facebook, and Google Plus if you actually blog to Google Plus. Or if you use, like we have multiple different accounts and multiple different places where it needs to go, and lots of RSS feeds because I like to automate my stuff because I don't have time to curate all the time. And because of that, they also have a 50% nonprofit discount for pro accounts. And if you already have an account, you can go ahead and get that nonprofit discount, like apply for it, and they'll apply it to the next time that you pay. And I think they may even do a retroactive, like they'll give you a credit, I think. I can't remember. But I know that there's a discount. I know that I used it after I already had an account. But if say you're doing something for a parish or something for an organization, and you don't really need all the Hootsuite analytics, and you don't have a whole lot of accounts, like my parish, I had a Hootsuite account, but I found I wasn't really utilizing it very much, but I still wanted to syndicate, auto-publish things to different places. So you can use something called IFT, IFTTT.com, if this, then that. And the way IF works is they have what they call recipes. And so it'll say, for example, let me show you the examples. My parish is Mater Dei Parish. So if something goes out on the news on my RSS feed, it posts to Twitter. And the FSSP, which is their Priestly Fraternity of St. Peter, if something posts on the main FSSP blog, it goes to Facebook. If pathdow.org publishes something, it goes to Twitter and Facebook. And so it allows you to syndicate RSS feeds. Another nifty thing that you can do, and I do this with the diocese page, but I don't do it here, is you can publish a picture on Instagram and say, if a picture publishes on Instagram, then post it to Facebook. So you can go to, so earlier I was in the presentation, I went to the Diocese of Dallas. I published a picture on Instagram. Actually, I published 2. And see how it says Catholic Diocese of Dallas, added 2 new photos to the album Instagrammies, published by IFT. So it's on Instagram, and then it automatically goes to Facebook, and it automatically goes to Twitter, because that's how I've set up my recipes. And I really enjoy IFT. Another nifty use that I have for IFT is if my parish pastor emails me, I get a text, because I don't always check my email, but I always check my text. And that way, if he sends me something, I know I'm going to get an email about it, or I'm going to see something about it right away. And we're almost done. So just a real quick, I call this the lightning round of free stuff that's online that's not necessarily related to social media, but I thought, I would love to share this because I've used all this stuff and I found it pretty handy. So first of all, at the beginning of the presentation and now, I use something called Prezi.com. It's basically a PowerPoint alternative that gives a little bit more visually stimulating presentation with the same concept as slides. But it also allows you to move back and forth with the content a lot easier, and it's a lot of fun. So give it a shot if you are doing a presentation anytime soon. And again, this particular version, like what I'm doing right now, 100% free. If you have a WordPress site and you have web hosting and you'd like to, or if you have a WordPress site and you would like to have it hosted for free, you can host on a basic shared plan on dreamhost.com. And you can do that also for Drupal or Joomla or any of the basic website platform software. If you have a computer and you like a personal computer or a parish computer of a very poor parish and they don't want to buy McAfee, you can get avast.com and they have a personal license that doesn't cost anything. I've been using this on my personal computer for 10 years and I've never gotten a virus on my computer. It checks your computer. My mother actually got a virus the other day and she had Avast on her computer and she was able to back out, run it. It took the virus off. She hasn't had any problems since. It was actually a piece of malware. So I highly recommend Avast. If you have a multi-language site, like Bishop Farrell has an English and a Spanish version of his blog, and we also have a Spanish and English version of the Bishop's annual appeal site, you can use WP Multilingual Plugin, and they have a license that allows you to use it, but if you are nonprofit, you can get that you can get $195, you get the license for free, which is fantastic. We use this on 3 or 4 of our sites. If you have a parish that needs email and they can't afford an email server, Google for Nonprofits will give you, it will allow you to have an email account on your own domain. We use Google for Nonprofits to manage the email for our modern-day parish. And you also get 30 gigs of storage. If you just go in and just sign up for Gmail, you're only going to get 15 gigs, but you get 30 gigs for free with email with Google for Nonprofits. And another nifty one is you can buy expensive fonts, but I use Google fonts a lot, especially when I'm creating a graphic and I'm like, well, I want a handwritten graphic, or I want a blocky graphic, and I can go in there and you can use them for not just your website. You can also use them by downloading them, and you can use them in Word or Photoshop or any of the programs that you use to create graphics. And finally, there's a nifty page, or there's a nifty software. If you ever need a timeline on your website, you can use Timeline by NightLab, and it will actually create a timeline where you put all of the dates, start dates of all of our parishes into this. If you put it in a spreadsheet, you connect it with the software, and then you just copy the widget and put it back into your website, and it just creates it automatically. We use this for our 125th anniversary to show the timeline of when all of our different parishes were founded, as well as when the bishops came and left. And you can put all kinds of information in there, and it walks you right through it if you go to the NightLab site. And that's it. We are done. So I guess we're ready for questions, and I'd love to hear what kind of programs you guys use, and there you go.
Very good. Thank you so much, Cynthia. So people, if you want to submit a question, you can do it down at the bottom where you click on chat and type in your question there. And you know, while people are doing that, let me just throw out a couple of questions. Well, first of all, could you explain a little bit more about what content you found people are most likely to share on Facebook and Twitter and the other platforms? What's more likely to be popular or to go viral?
Well, in my experience on the diocese level, because this never actually happened on the parish level, but on the diocese level, the 2 biggest things that we've ever had is the thing that I just showed you with Bishop Farrell when he put the letter, when I just put the picture of the letter that he wrote in the Dallas Morning News. And the other thing that was huge as far as sharing was when we had the horrible shooting here in Dallas of the police officers. That night, I just grabbed a picture off of Flickr that was Creative Commons of the Dallas skyline and put it into a program and just put Pray for Dallas and put the logo on it and posted it. And that picture got shared over 1 million times. So I think it's events that really resonate with people, either positive or negative. In the case of the letter from Bishop Farrell in the paper, that's a positive thing, and we were affirming our Catholic identity through that. And the shooting, because it touched so many people so personally, especially Catholics. One of actually 2 of the police officers that were shot were Catholic, one of which was from our diocese. So it, because of that, I think because it resonated with people, it went viral. But I find that things that are funny and things that tap into people's passions, like, you know, people getting passionate about pro-life, that's why that particular thing went viral. It's really hard to get people really fired up about, you know, Our Lady of Sorrows. But if it's something that people can relate to more personally, it tends to be a little bit more popular, which is not to say don't put the Our Lady of Sorrow stuff up, because I still do that as well. But things that are more topical or things that can really apply to people tend to be a lot more popular.
Okay. Someone says this has been great. What is your take on how much effort we should put on our websites versus social media?
I did a presentation about a year ago, and I looked at the traffic on our website, and I looked at the traffic on our social media, and for the month that I looked at, we got something like 30,000 unique page views on our website, and in that same time period, we've gotten 150,000 impressions on Facebook. So basically, I don't know if it's an either or kind of thing. I think that it's important that when you publish information, you make sure that it goes out on all platforms, and don't just assume that, okay, it's auto-syndicating on Facebook, I can just leave it as a link. Sometimes it's not a big deal. If you're saying, hey, don't forget the Assumption this year is not a holy day of obligation, and just a link might be fine. But if you have something that's really big news, like Bishop Farrell becoming the prefect for the dicastery for the laity and the blah, 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 we put pictures up on the timeline of him and saying, congratulations to Bishop Farrell. And I would actually put the link in the text, but it would be a picture post. And because it's a picture post, it ranks higher on the Facebook algorithm. So it was shared a lot more. And also with social media, with Facebook especially, because I find Facebook, for what I do and the way that I've used it, tends to be where the most engagement happens. That doesn't necessarily mean it's the best for everybody or every diocese or every organization, but some people use Twitter and some people use Instagram, but everybody uses Facebook. So it's basically putting it in the best spot. And they have a new thing where you can do video. We live streamed a video. Actually, Brian Atwell did a really great article about Facebook Live video, and I have found those to be very popular as well. They're totally worth the time to do those. Oh, Brian, I can't hear you. You're on mute. There you are. Oh, and not. Okay.
Katie Bing made the point that their biggest successes are later videos loaded directly to Facebook, and I found that as well. You know, if we put a video up on our website and have it on YouTube, just, you know, the amount of views will be tiny compared to the amount of views if we upload it directly on Facebook.
Absolutely. And Facebook will also allow you to get some code for a widget and embed the video in your website. So the advantage of being on YouTube is that you can embed it. Well, you can do that on Facebook Live as well. And I have found that to be the same. I'll have the same video on Vimeo that I have on Facebook Live, and on Vimeo it'll have like 20 views, and on Facebook Live it'll have 400. So it's absolutely better to put video on Facebook, not necessarily primarily, but definitely as an option that you should do.
Any other tips about finding your way to the top of the Facebook? You know, the formula keeps changing, and what's, you know, any current suggestions for how to get seen on Facebook?
The biggest thing right now is video. Number one on the Facebook algorithm is video. Now, if you have a Facebook Live video, it pushes out a notification to all of, like, the default is you're going to get a notification if a page that you follow or a person that you follow is Facebook Live right then. So that's the top of the algorithm. So unless they opt out of it, they're going to get a notification. So Facebook Live is going to be the first thing that's going to get the most attention from anywhere else. Secondly is videos. Facebook is putting a whole lot of time and effort into videos. And so that's why I like that Adobe, the Adobe thing that I showed you earlier down here, Adobe Spark, because you can make a really simple video with a few pictures and a few verbiages if you wanted, and they have all different kinds of music, all different kinds of looks. They have one that is kind of would be great for, you know, today is the feast day of Our Lady of Sorrows, and you can have that on text, and, you know, Our Lady of Sorrows is da 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 da, and then here's a picture, and, you know, say Our Lady of Sorrows, pray for us, and you can put some classical music behind it. It would just be perfect. And you put that up versus a picture, the video is going to be seen a lot more. It's going to be liked a lot more. And you can make a video that's 30 seconds long in about 15-20 minutes if you've got a couple of pictures and you know what content you want. And I'm going to start doing that a little. Now that this presentation is built and almost over, I'm definitely going to be spending a lot more time doing that kind of thing as opposed to spending time creating a graphic, like taking the picture and doing all kind of fancy stuff with it. I can just slap it into one of those and download the video and post it on Facebook, and I'm good to go.
Very good. Well, Cynthia, I think we're out of time, but thank you so much. This has been terrific, and the video of this will be up on the Catholic Academy website, catholicacademy.org, as well as some of the other materials. And thank you everybody for joining in. Okay. Actually, I'll jump in with one last question. Someone asked, David W. asked, any suggestions as far as what is a good length for video?
When you're doing Facebook Live, the longer the better, because it will continue to push out notifications as long as you're on the air. I do find that with Facebook Live video, there's a lot of people that come and go, but there's usually like a steady group of people, depending on the event. Depends on how steady that group is. But just think about what you would, if you were looking on Facebook, how long of a video would you watch? Probably about 30 seconds, a minute tops. So if you're doing just a straight video, you want it to be pretty short because people's attention spans are pretty short. However, Facebook will count a view if they watch it for more than, I think it's 5 or 6 seconds. So even if they only watch it for 8 seconds, that's going to count as a view. But they do give you a percentage of how many people watched it more than 10 seconds, I think is in the stats. So you can kind of see how long people are watching it from there. They have such really great broken down stats.
Okay, very good. Well, this is excellent. Thank you so much, Cynthia. You've been the Cynthia Bates from the Diocese of Dallas. My name is Brian Finnerty, U.S. Communications Director of Opus Dei and Vice President for the Catholic Academy, and you'll find these resources up on the Catholic Academy website. So thank you so much for joining us.
And thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.